Alright, guys, I have not talked about the Raiders for a very long time, but I have finally figured out there's a time to say something. Nice going, Mark Davis. You hired Josh McDaniels, and you're paying the price. The end. I mean, this is something that you could see coming from a mile away. Not just because of what he did in Denver and what he did with the Broncos. This is the same guy who traded Jay Cutler, the same guy that the Raiders beat 59-14, the same guy where he was the head coach and Jamarcus Russell threw a game-winning touchdown to Chad Schillens. Same guy, opposing head coach. Same guy that ran Jay Cutler out of town. He once traded a first-round pick for a guy named Alfonso Smith, and he's the reason the Seahawks got Earl Thomas. Just remember that. The Seahawks used that first-round pick on Earl Thomas. So that's some of just the many things Josh McDaniels did when he was the Broncos head coach. And Mark Davis, I don't know what you saw in McDaniels and Ziegler when you interviewed them, but when that was happening, I was very turned off. Automatic turn off. I just not felt excited about Raider football, and this has just proven my point. They just blow a lead like the third time. There's only 3 teams in NFL history to have a 17-plus point lead blown in 3 separate games and resulting in losses. I think the 2020 Chargers were one of them. Even the Falcons haven't done that in the same season 3 different times. This is predictable, though. Very, very predictable. Just watching the Raiders and watching what's happened. There's a lot of problems that have gone even before McDaniels, but I'll get into that soon. The biggest problem for me is that they've bet on Derek Carr all these years. They've said Carr's the guy. They think about 2016, and then they think that magic's just going to come back from 2016. I've been convinced Derek Carr is not going to be good or will ever be that guy since the end of 2019. I just said they needed to get rid of him or they needed to phase out of him, and they never did. Derek Carr, at best, is an average quarterback who can stat pad. He can look good efficiently on the field, but he's not good enough to be that guy. Not good enough to be that guy, to be a star quarterback in this league. He's just average. And right now what sucks is that the Raiders, he has the best option based on what's on the Raiders roster. You know what's pathetic with John Gruden? Not just that he's drafted all these busts, but he never drafted his own quarterback. That is coming back to bite the Raiders now, just to have somebody ready to play, because at the point the Raiders just need to do a hard reset. That's the only thing I can say about the Raiders, is that they need a hard reset. You may keep, 5 or 6 guys like Max Crosby. That might be it. I don't know how many guys you want to keep long-term, or say you get a new coach and so on, because Josh McDaniels doesn't deserve to be a head coach. I don't think he ever deserved to be a head coach because of what he did in Denver. I still think about the time he traded Jay Cutler. That's all I think about with him when I see that name. If not 59-14, I still love that one, but I can't even laugh at that game anymore because he's on the Raiders. Mark, you seen how many opposing fans just take over Allegiant Stadium? That's all this place is. It's just a place for opposing fans to show up, take over. Woohoo! They get to fund your wallet. I hope you enjoy that because you're not winning games. Unfortunately, we as fans have to wear this record. It's going to be 20 straight years without a playoff win. 20. Oh, you can talk about how they came so close last year and all that. Nope, you still haven't won a playoff game in 20 years. You better hope the Dolphins don't, because you're going to have the second longest drought. There's only 2 teams that have not won a playoff game before 2002, or that still have a drought that's after 2002. It's the Dolphins who haven't won one since 2000, and then the Detroit Lions have not won since 1991. Other than that, the Raiders are still stuck on 2002. Meanwhile, the New York Jets, they've somewhat turned it around. They have a defense. They're flawed, but they're more competitive than the Raiders are. They actually can play defense. They have built something up when I think Robert Saleh is a defensive head coach. You look at some of these other teams who've had a quarterback drafted after Derek Carr. Obviously, Josh Allen is an elite quarterback, even though today he didn't do well. There's a lot of teams right now that are more interesting and promising than just watching the Raiders right now. I don't even think the Jaguars are good. Obviously, the last week, they got outcoached by Dennis Allen. You remember where Dennis Allen used to coach? Yeah, that's right. It was the Raiders. You got outcoached by Dennis Allen. That's a pretty pathetic low, let alone get shut out. And, of course, you blow a lead. You're going to blow a 20-point lead, which apparently that was the first time they've blown a 20-point lead in franchise history. They've only had a handful of 17-point blown leads in franchise history, but they've already had 2 this year. Yeah, it's a new level of pathetic. It really is a new level of pathetic, and most of this starts at the top because Mark Davis, he chose to hire Josh McDaniels. Oh, he chose to hire John Gruden, who was kind of washed up when he came in. This is why I was turned off at the moment Josh McDaniels was hired, because the New England Patriots, all the assistants under Bill Belichick, they suck. Once they leave the Patriots, they are terrible. They can't run a team on their own. It's a proven track record. Matt Patricia, Joe Judge, Eric Mangini, Romeo Crennel, to a lesser extent Charlie Weiss. Brian Flores also had a dysfunctional staff. He was winning games, but very dysfunctional staff. A lot of guys were let go. Bill O'Brien, once he tried to make himself the general manager, he tried to take control, he sucked. Bill O'Brien had some wins, but still. You look at what the Texans are today, and thanks to Bill O'Brien making a few trades, it's blown up in their face. You cannot try to double down and be the Patriots. Trying to be the Patriots, it's a bad business model. It just does not work in the long run. I mean, that's what the Detroit Lions, it has blown up in their face in the past when they hired Matt Patricia, and then I think it was Bob Quinn. Remember that name, Darius Slay, the one guy they had that was legit? I mean, he's on the Eagles now, and he's part of an undefeated Eagles team at the time I'm talking. Yeah, you just cannot hire Patriots assistants. It's boring. Absolutely boring. And that's it. Derek Carr, this offense, a lot of money is invested in the Raiders' offense. They all kind of suck, too. Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow included. You put all this money on Devontae Adams to try to bring in the casual, and when I saw it happen, I'm like, I'm not falling for this crap. I'm really not falling for this media hype and attention you can get. You got to win games. You got to show me you're good, and so far it's just, okay, he makes a few good plays. The offensive line was not addressed. I mean, the offensive line was an elephant in the room before the season started, and they did not address it well enough. They did not address a lot of things well enough, and now they're just a bad team. They're back to that square zero. And in my opinion, they have to blow it up. They really got to blow up this organization and hope you get a hard reset, new head coach, new people. But you can't just hire someone from the Patriots, all right? You got to hire someone who has a proven track record and so on. I mean, in the NFL, there's a lot of trends. Things are always trendy. You look at the recent years, it's been about Sean McVay. Try to hire a guy that's young, a guy that's interesting and young, brings a fresh face to the table. Analytics, go for it on fourth down. We've seen a lot of that fourth down stuff around the league. We are seeing hire anyone connected to Sean McVay. That's been a big trend. It used to be the Wildcat 10 years ago. Everyone was running these Wildcat plays and gimmicks and trends. But at one point, it used to be hiring Patriots assistants because they respected Bill Belichick. They wanted to emulate and be Bill Belichick. And, of course, that has run its course. That has run dry. I think once the Patriots fired Matt Patricia and the Dolphins fired Brian Flores, you thought, oh, this might be the end. No. Mark Davis was dumb enough to hire David Ziegler and Josh McDaniels, a bunch of Patriots people, and thinking they can be the Patriots and run their business model like them. Absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid. And they're paying the price. I hope they can get a hard reset. I wish they can just fire everyone, Derek Carr included. I would say, maybe 5 or 6 guys on this roster deserve to stay. A lot of them are they may succeed elsewhere, but they're not going to succeed at Silver and Black. I've learned to accept it. And as said, opposing fan bases just show up to Allegiant Stadium and take over. It's boring. It's absolutely boring, this team is.